Hi there, welcome to Transcone Trailer Sales. Today we'll be walking you through your 2026 R.POD 192. We are just going to start off at the back of the unit. If you notice up top, you're pre-mounted for an observation camera as well as a lift collapsible stair system. If you'd like to get set up with either of those, it is as simple as contacting the parts department. They'd be more than happy to put together a quote for you. Also located at the back is going to be your spare tire. Below that spare tire, you do have a 2-inch receiver down here, just making sure you do take note of those weight capacities written on that sticker there. It's about 250 pounds, so realistically it's maybe a double bike rack. Any more than that, you aren't pushing it. You got your hot water service port. Because this is a tankless system, there's not really a whole lot you need to know back here. The main thing is turning this power switch on does supply power to the thermostat inside. And then you have that pressure relief valve whenever the system's in use or you're wanting it to be in use. It's very important that you close that pressure relief valve. But let's say you are winterizing the unit. It's always important that you crack this pressure relief valve and leave it cracked open after you're done your winterization for the whole duration of winter. Now we're going to come around to the driver's side, holding on that rear bumper cap. That's typically where you're going to want to store your sewer hose after your first use. We do have a brand new one located inside the front compartment, which is why there's not one in here yet. And then in this corner, as well as all 4 corners of the unit, you do get stabilizer jacks. It's very important that you level the unit first, as they're stabilizing jacks, not leveling jacks. Once the unit's already level, you can run these down to the ground, and it's just going to take any bounce or sway you see we have in the unit right now away. And if you're running them up or down with an impact, just keep it in mind how much torque you put on them, as you do run the risk of bending them, and they bend pretty easily. You get your sewer cap, taking that, twisting it off. It's what your sewer hose is going to hook up to. It's going to be the same ears. You got your black valve and your gray valve. You always want to empty the black one first. This is your dirtiest water filled from your toilets, and then you can come behind that with your gray valve, which is typically cleaner water filled from your sinks and your showers. Behind this little hitch mount here, it's gonna be hard to see, but you do get your 2 low point drains. So if you don't want water going stale or stagnant because you're parking the unit, or you're done your winterization process, those are another couple things you want to crack open to try and let the majority of the antifreeze out. You got your furnace exhaust, so whenever your furnace is running, this will be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. And then you get your standard 30 amp twist lock connection. Today we're using the shop one just because I haven't brought out yours yet, but yours is going to look the exact same. You're just taking note of this notch down here at the bottom. It's going to line up with this notch on this side. Pressing that into place, 8th turn to lock it in, and then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow that cord back, you have your standard 30 amp plug-in. Most campsites should have this, you can plug right on in, but let's say you have the unit at home on your driveway and you want to run your fridge. Your campsite only has 15 amp service, which is your standard household outlet. We do include that 15 amp park adapter. Just keep it in mind whenever you are using it. You're not going to be able to run your air conditioner. It's just to really run your fridge and your lights. Up top here, get your range hood flap. Whenever you're camping, you're going to want to make sure that that flap is opened up, so that way you're evacuating those fumes as you're creating them. But of course, if you're traveling or you have the unit parked and not using it, it's always important to snap those into place. Closing that up, that's going to stop any excess dust from getting inside of the unit, and it's going to prevent any critters from getting inside. Get your freshwater connection, so if you're out boondocking or your campsite doesn't have water, you can put a garden hose in here or siphon water into here with a jug, and that is how you fill up your fresh tank. Right down below that is your city water connection, so if you're at a site of service, you can just throw the garden hose in there, turn it on, it's going to pressurize all the lines without the need to run your water pump. And then coming right down below the floor, this little cap here is going to remove itself. Well, you twist it off, I guess, and then that's how you drain your fresh tank. Inside this front compartment, we will open it up. It goes right through to the other side. Just, of course, being mindful of drains, water lines, wiring, anything like that. You want to make sure you take it easy. And then back here, you're going to notice these 2 screws holding that false panel in. That is where you get access to your water pump for winterization. Now coming around to the front of the unit, down to the front of the frame there, that is that battery disconnect switch. With it in the on position, the batteries are connected to the unit. If you return it to the off position, the batteries will become disconnected from the unit. The battery is housed inside this box here. And then you're probably wondering what this little thing is. That is for the TPMS system that's installed on these tires. Underneath this front cover, you get your 2 propane tanks, which this customer opted for, by the way. Our pods typically standard do only come with 1. So this guy doesn't want to run out of propane. Very smart. Most of the time you get what you need done just by flipping over that cover. But if you needed to remove the tanks because you wanted to fill them, and for the purpose of the video, you just slide the cover right out of place, off. Then you get your 2 standard barbecue style propane tanks. This little black cap here is a selector valve. So with it pointed this way, you're drawing off this tank, counterclockwise like any standard barbecue to open up the flow of propane. Now let's say this tank were to go dry, you would just have to close it, flip this over to this side, and then you can start drawing off this tank even while you're getting this one filled. Tongue jack right up front, and then coming around to the passenger side of the unit. Inside here, this is where you're gonna find your essential vac tools. You're gonna have this little water dispenser, and inside there is also this standard garden end hose, and it is just a standard garden hose thread, so you could put any end on here if you wanted in case this one broke or you just had a nicer one you want to put on. And then if you come to this back corner, you get your water station, pull down on the tap, hot and cold water. You're just having to insert that tool, lining the two tabs up, of course. Push in, twist, locks it in. Then you have sprayable hot and cold water. While we're down here, off to my left, you get your black tank flush. So it's very important you do read the caution sticker. You do have to have the sewer hose connected and your black tank valve open. And the reason being is just because if you're pushing water inside of the tank, that pressure does have to have somewhere to go. And if the valve isn't open, it could expand the tank to the point of cracking. So you really don't want to do that. So just be careful whenever you are using it. But I do recommend using it every use. And if you can't do it every use, at least every second use, it just helps keep things that little bit cleaner. Now for the rest of the stuff in here, it's just going to be a griddle and a little table. They work pretty simply. You're just taking the griddle, mounting it onto your accessory bar here. Then you take your quick connect line and hook it up to your quick connect other line here. So you have that griddle, you don't want to carry an extra tank with you. This guy is plumbed in right with those front tanks. It's as simple as pulling back on the collar like any standard airline, inserting it into place, and then opening up that valve opens up the flow of propane. Now as an added safety feature, you can't operate the coupler with the flow of propane open, so you do have to close it. Just as an added safety feature, whenever you're not using it, highly recommend putting the dust caps back into place. That way you're not getting any debris inside of there. Now for the best part, take a step on inside. First thing you're gonna do is take that assist handle, push it up, fold it 90 degrees. It's gonna lock itself into place and will allow you to open up the door. You have to open up your door all the way to get your stairs down. Now your stairs are adjustable, so you can have them nice and level for your campsite. You just push it on the silver tabs. It allows them to walk into the corresponding channels. Pull those stairs down, flip them down. Nice and stable. Then goal is to have this black plate as close to the silver catch plate as possible, so that way this door can open and close freely without binding or anything. Now, the biggest note, you're going to notice with the door fully open, if you went to go run your awning arm, it's going to run into contact with your door. And if you didn't notice right away, you're probably going to cause some damage. So again, before you ever run your awning, always double check your door is closed 90 degrees before you run your awning in or out, just that way you don't damage it. Now, taking a step on inside, first thing you notice off on the right is that fire extinguisher, which is just like home. Pull the pin and shoot. Up on the wall, get your interior light switch, which does turn on the majority of the interior lights. Now, let's say you don't want all these lights on at the same time. They are on their own individual push buttons so that you can turn them off individually as you please. Awning LED switch obviously turns on the awning LED strip light underneath the awning, and then you got a porch light which turns on a little orange light outside. Next, you do have your awning control. Now, of course, making sure your door is closed 90 degrees, and then you can push that extend button. The awning's going to start making its way out. You're going to know that awning's at its full extension when you see the back of the metal tube and a little flap come down. Now, sometimes that flap can get stuck, so you might just have to retract a couple feet and put it back out again just for it to come down. Sometimes they just get sticky. Now, unfortunately, today I don't know if we're going to be able to get this awning all the way out. There you go. That's about as far out as we're going to be able to go. Now, if we're going to start raining, you can take any arm, front or rear, pull down on that little tab, pull the arm towards you, wherever you want it, lock it, and that's where it'll stay. Now, this is mainly for when it starts raining, so that way that rain does have a place to pour off. That way it doesn't pool in the middle. Now, if you like that angle better because it does allow for more shade underneath, you can do the same thing with the front arm. Just make sure that before you do run your awning in or out again, that you do allow them back out to their natural resting positions, so that way it can go in and out nice and freely. Now, if you went to go bring this awning in because a storm came in, you don't want it getting wrecked. It is okay, just if you do roll it in while it's wet, try and remember to roll it back out at your next earliest convenience. That way you can allow it adequate time to dry off. That way you don't accelerate the growth of mold or mildew. To retract it in, it is as simple as holding the retract button. These arms contact the side of the trailer, the motors will automatically cut out. Now, whenever you have it out, again, gonna keep in mind for those wind speeds, it acts exactly like a wind sail. If the winds roll in, make sure you bring it in. You'll thank me later because it doesn't take much to rip your arm, or rip your fabric, or bend your arms. Gets pretty costly pretty quick. Now that once those arms contact the side of the trailer, the motor's automatically cut out and you can let off the button. Right up top, you get your solar controller. It's showing this fault code right now. That's only because it's winter time. You're picking your trailer up in the spring, so we haven't put a battery inside of it yet. That's all it's gonna be telling you, but at the time of pickup for the trailer, it is gonna be set up for your basic charging needs. If there's sun outside hitting the solar panel, it's gonna be applying a charge to the front battery. Now again, because you have solar equipped on here, you're gonna have to go up there and give it a clean with a soft, wet microfiber towel every once in a while. You're not gonna wanna use any harsh chemicals because it would wreck the finish of the solar panel. But again, it's going to be set up for basic charging needs, but there is a bunch of settings you can go in and play with, but I will recommend going over the owner's manual for doing any of that. Now, you can take a step on inside. We'll start at the front of the trailer. That is the sofa area, and at nighttime, I guess the sleeping area. Before we get into that, you get your emergency exit. Taking that red tab, pull it. The screen's going to pop right into place. At that point, you take this handle, push it up, fold it out, and you're going to be able to hop on out of the unit. Now, of course, trying to go feet first, and taking note that there is a little bit of a drop down, but if there's a fire, just trying to get out as quickly as possible is, of course, recommended. Blinds, they all work the same way. They just kind of sit where you leave them. One quick pull will allow them to retract back up. Now, coming to the bed space, again, storage on both sides. If you want to fold that down into a bed, you just have to remove the cushions off the side of the couch. Grab the foot of the couch, pull it towards you. It's going to push up and fold out. That folds down. Then you can take your travel safe latch for your bed, and the mattress and the bed folds down with it. Crazy cool thing R.POD installed was that front window. That front window does open up. You're just going to have to remove the red tabs securing it. Excuse me. Remove the red tabs securing it, push it out. You're going to see those two black tabs in the top corners. They're loose right now. That allows the window to move freely. Once they're tightened, it will hold the window. So if you opened it, tightened them, the window will be able to hold itself in place. Now you're probably thinking, oh great, now bugs can fly in. Well, they've already had that covered. You pull it down, you get the nightshade. If you push it up, you get a bug screen. Pretty cool, I thought they installed that. It's an awesome little feature. So again, use it as you please. You're gonna have plugins and USB plugins on both sides of the bed. And then to get this all to fold up, it's just as simple as folding up with it, grabbing your little catch here, locking that into place. Then you can take your couch, push and fold. You kind of have to grab the top of it a little bit to assist it into place, and it locks itself down. Now over here, you're gonna have your kind of main water system monitor panel. Push the button, tells you the corresponding level for all the tanks and of course the battery. Water pump switch, turning that on obviously draws out of your fresh tank. And then it brings me to my thermostat. Now this is the thermostat for your water heater, and before we go into it, this is a tankless system. If you've had a camper before, it probably had a tanked water heater, in which case you could use it as your standard household, but because this is a tankless system, works a little bit differently. Basically how this system cools water is there's a bunch of copper coils ran in a circle. There's a big flame in the middle. As the water flows through it, it heats the water as it comes out of the tap. Now the way they want you to use this is, so on this unit you have to turn that switch on, which then turns that on, and then you have to push the power button on that. As an added safety feature, if you drop it below 50, you lock to 51, just as an added safety feature so kids can't scald their hands. Keep in mind 51 degrees Celsius water is already really hot water, but if you push and hold the up button for 5 seconds, it does unlock it and will allow you to go up 4 more degrees. Just keep it in mind, at 55, it's extremely hot water. You're probably gonna burn yourself. And that brings me to how you wanna use it. Basically, you wanna set this temperature to where you find hot water the most comfortable. With just the hot on, you don't wanna have to blend the cold in at all, as it throws off the flow, which in which case you're going to get cold spots or just inconsistent water temperatures. So again, just set it where you find it the most comfortable, just the hot on, and it is as simple as that. Main GFI plug over here on the wall. So if you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, this would always be the first place I'd look. Just make sure that the system isn't tripped, because 90% of the outlets are hooked up through it. Coming to your kitchen area, it's a beautiful kitchen area. It's pretty much self-explanatory. Microwave down below, just like home. You got some USB and regular plugins that they added for you. And then you got your stove. Now, because this unit's equipped with propane, you got your LP detector right there near the ground. If that guy ever starts going off, don't panic. Just turn off the main supply at the front of the unit, open up some windows and vents, and get some fresh oxygen inside of here. Now, before you ever try to go to fire up something propane, if you've had the system off for a while, and especially if you've disconnected one of the bottles, I always recommend coming and lighting your stove first thing, as it's the quickest, easiest way to purge the system. If you tried to fire up your water heater or your furnace before you purge the system, those will only try lighting themselves a couple times, and if they failed to sense a flame, it's going to throw a fault code at you. If you don't know what the fault code means, it's going to throw a little wrench in your weekend. Now, because this is a gas stove, of course, you're going to be wanting to be safe while lighting it, and always running your range hood. That way you're evacuating those fumes as you're making them. So to light it, you're just pushing the knob in, turning it over to the high option, and of course today it did fire up pretty quickly. It's only because I had the system running earlier. Sometimes it could take a few minutes to purge all the air out. Just be patient with it and just make sure you got that sparker going, because again, because it's gas, if that sparker's not going and there's gas flowing through, once there was a spark that would happen, it could cause a minor combustion, and if your face was nearby, you could lose some eyebrows and eyelashes. So of course, just be safe whenever you're lighting this. If you smell gas, don't try and light anything, obviously. Behind us, you get your little dinette space. Now this does fold down into a bed in case you had some extra guests you weren't intending on. You just have to remove the feet from underneath the tabletop, set your tabletop on its desired ledges, and then you can take your back cushions to fill in the center. You got your sound system for the unit over here. You got A and B speakers. A is inside, B is outside. Now this is just a Bluetooth controller. There's no FM or anything included, so you have to run it through your phone to run music inside of here. TV, pretty much self-explanatory. You're gonna notice this coax cable coming out. There's this little black button that turns that green light on. That's turning the antenna on the roof. It's also going to improve radio frequency and cell phone frequency, so we typically recommend leaving it on whenever you're camping, but trying to remember to turn it off whenever you're not using it. That way you're not drawing any excess battery power. You got your fridge, freezer combo. Control for that is up top, and the control for the fridge is down below, and of course the power button. So if you push and hold that button for 3 seconds, it'll turn itself off, and if you push the snowflake, it switches between all your different settings. You're going to notice an off-grid setting here. It's just letting you know the most energy efficient setting to run it on. If you're running it off 12-volt battery power, and then of course you got fast, coldest. It's going to be the coldest setting. It's also going to get the fridge the fastest, coldest the fastest. Push and hold the power button for 3 seconds, turns itself off. Below your fridge, you got your central hookup. So if you take this tab, pull on it, it's where you're going to find that bag. It connects front and rear. The reason it connects into the rear is because if you lift that up, acts as a dustpan. It's going to suck everything inside of it. Just keeping in mind it is mainly for dust, dirt, or gravel. It's not for anything sharp or anything too big. To turn the central vac, you have to have that open with your tool inserted. To your right, you get your main fuse and breaker panel. Whenever a breaker trips, it'll sit in the middle, so you just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. All your corresponding fuses will be on your right. Furnace output is on the left here. This is the only furnace output in this unit. It's going to push all its air out of there, so if you want to get a little fan to move some air around, it might be a good idea. Which brings me to the thermostat, which we have to go over. It's on the wall here. Push and hold it for 3 seconds, it turns itself off. Push and hold it for 3 seconds, it turns itself on. You're gonna go to your last known setting, so in which case it's heat. Well, because it's cold here in Manitoba, if you push it again, that's gonna change your mode. It's gonna change you over to the fan option. That's just moving air around using the air conditioner, no heating or cooling involved. The furnace is also its own entity, and you got your own entity air conditioner. Push the button one more time, you're gonna go into dry. That's just a dehumidifying mode to try and take as much moisture out of the air as possible using the air conditioner. And one more time after that is when you get to your cool setting. Now, when you are in your cool setting, I always recommend setting your fan setting to automatic. That way it means it's an on-demand system. So if you have your room set to 69, currently 71. Going to kick in that air conditioner until you reach 69 degrees. Once you reach 69 degrees, it'll automatically kill the air conditioner. It's going to be about it for that. So again, it just looks like your standard house. Last but not least, you're going to step on into the bathroom. The light switches are on your right. You get two different lights. You get your main lights inside here. Then they have what's called a selfie light. Turn that on. It backlights the mirror, which I thought was pretty cool. Other than that, pretty standard bathroom. Tons of storage space. Above my head, you get your vent lid. Pull that down to unlock it. Turn it counterclockwise to open it up. If you notice, you do open straight up into the atmosphere, so if it were to start raining, of course, it's going to get wet inside of here. If you wanted to avoid that, we do sell max air covers here at the shop. It's just a cover that's going to go over top of this. It's going to allow you to leave that open while traveling, and of course, if it starts raining and you have it open, it's not going to get wet inside of here. It's even going to give you a little bit of extra protection against hail. If you'd like to get set up with that, it's just, again, as easy as contact our parts department. They'd be more than happy to put together a quote for you. But other than that, that is going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.